to 11, and let's see what we have if we crank up the operator D chords. Ah! Oh my god. It's crazy! So the main layer, so good, but it misses the texture, some interesting, like noisy kind of whatever on top. So I made this. And all together. Let me start the noise because it's super simple. So here you can see that I had to tweak some frequencies. It's too squeaky. We just want to have a noisy kind of texture. And of course without the very highs and the lows and basically everything below the highs. But basically you can use whatever wavetable you want. All I had to do is use this bend. The point is to have a wavetable that has some higher overtones. So for example, this one is obviously not that good. This can work. This too, but I love the movement in this one. And after that all I had to do is just obviously high pass, a little low pass and a distortion with a Haas effect on top. And basically this is all. And the main bass sounds like this. So bad, but at the same time it is super simple inside operator, but there are some tricks. So let me create a new MIDI track, copy the MIDIs here and drop operator on it, or in other words, drop operator. No! Before we jump into it, we need to decide what routings we want to use. I stick to this one because this way I will have two output, one for the sub, so for the low end, and one for the twisted high end. Okay, so let's start with a simple sine wave, but we'll have to make the length for it. Almost 4 seconds is good, but this is just a sub. Let's make it a little more mid-range or mid-low range using a little FM. But I want to have a little movement to it. So the decay on 400 milliseconds is good, and let's crank up the chorus. So with this we just made a very basic FM sound. Let's make it even angrier using filter emulation and crank up the filter drive to around 13 decibels. Okay, so we have the fundamental, the sub. Let's add something on top that really creates a sound. So because of the routings, this is A and B together, one sound generator, and C with D is going to be another sound generator. So let's use a saw wave here and crank up the level. But obviously this is not very good sounding. So let's crank up the chorus to 8. Ouch. Let's pull back the decay. It's a lot more pleasing now, maybe a little longer. But this is super boring, so let's use some FM on the saw. It's a lot better, what we can make it better. Yeah, on 19 it sounds good, but let's see to 17. Okay, so this is the basic. We need some disperser to have some little click and a little more rubbery kind of sound for this. So let's use the kilohertz disperser. Let's crank up the amount and let's set it to about 1.7K. Maybe a little more pinch. Yeah, we have some really nice overtones coming up. And especially the zappy, lasery kind of transient. Okay, so let's duplicate it and let's pull it back on the second one. Yeah. Now it sounds good, but it is too sterile, so we need to add some more distortion to it, because in the filter we already applied a little distortion. But let's go with a saturator and my favorite distortion type, the wave shaper. Just simply crank up the curve to about 6% and maybe a little more drive. Yeah, around 4 decibels it sounds good, but we're too loud. So without a saturator. But at the same time, I think the mids are a little too much. So let's pull back. Maybe a little more tops we need. Here is this frequency range. where you can see this peak, and interestingly it is exactly the fundamental, it plays on E. So let's boost it up a little bit. Okay, and let's add some reverb. And we need to make it really short because this is a very busy sound, so let's pull back the decay and the size. And to make it even more interesting, crank up the pre-delay. So everything sounds really cool, but I missed something that plays on the stereo field. So let's go to the plugin and let's use the dimension expander. I like to put this before distortion because the distortion will just glue everything together. So let's listen it back and decide how much we need on the size and on the mix. Can you hear this little vibration distorted by the saturator? It sounds so great. Right, so this is cool, but the problem is that it basically widens the sub to the low end, and I don't want to do that. So let's go to the audio effects, the utilities, others, and there is this 2-band frequency split phase. Let's drop it again before distortion, and the dimension expander only on the high band. And we can pull back the crossover to around 1K. And the coolest part here is you can go back to operator and just crank up the chords for different colors. Oh! I'm not a fan of this. I think it was on 11 or 8. All of this sounds crazy good. Set this to 11 and let's see what we have if we crank up the operator D chords. Oh my god. It's crazy! You know what? Grab this project for my Patreon. Go, go, go. Oh, and also check my Matthew style neuro drum and bass masterclass. It's fresh. It's just got out of the oven. People love it. Peace.